Hi everyone, it's Charity. I thought I'd do something different this time and give you a visual review instead of a blog post. I'm here today to talk about one of the more controversial Disney movies, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Growing up, it was always a favorite of mine because I loved looking for the religious symbolism, and it freaked people out to think I knew what the song Hellfire was about. That's always a plus. Obviously, there's some rather bold statements about the church and faith here, particularly against those who use God to justify their actions. Frollo is one of the scariest villains in Disney history because his crimes aren't fantastical so much as entirely human. He deals with stuff normal people deal with the desire for control, the abuse of power and moral authority, prejudice, even lust. He's frightening because he could be any one of us. Plus, he's just awesome. How much more evil can you get than a murdering, baby-stealing, fire-setting, gypsy-hunting dude on a giant black horse named Snowball? Its statements about society are pretty cool, too, although I suspect Disney had no idea what they were doing. From a Christian standpoint, this movie reeks of spirituality, and not just because it's set in a church. Pretty much the hero, Quasimodo, lives a life of oppression, like the dudes in the Old Testament. Like Moses, he defies everything he knows to embark on a plan of liberation, not only for himself, but also for the gypsy girl, Esmeralda. The Bible is pretty implicit on what God thinks of those who try and oppress and enslave other people. Not cool. Frollo is the ultimate oppressor, ranging from his desire to squash gypsies like ants to his treatment of Quasimodo. I mean, he tells him he's deformed, hideous, and a monster. He prances around acting all high and mighty and moral, but really he's more like the devil than a true believer. Satan wants us to find ourselves hideous and unworthy of love too. Frollo uses his pretended faith to bash other people over the head with it, which also sucks. Speaking of Frollo, how about Hellfire? Most controversial song ever! Gee, I wonder what set people off. Was it the gypsy writhing in the flames? Frollo singing about lust? Blaming his unholy desires on God having made the devil stronger than a man? Is it wrong to say I love this song? I do, because it's awesome! It's one of the best visual and audio representations of man's struggle with sin that I've ever seen. Frollo knows he's wrong, but instead of begging God for real help, he makes up his mind during his prayer to commit evil, then has the nerve to blame it on God. How thick can you get? One of the things I love most about the movie is how Notre Dame basically represents God, and the character's interaction with it looks a lot like our relationship with him. Like Quasimodo, you can see God as a hindering force in your life, or a sanctuary. Some people defend God as vigorously as Quasi does when threatened. Or you can be an Esmeralda and feel utterly unworthy of approaching God. Great news! You are unworthy! But he never said you had to be worthy, so go for it. Notre Dame offers her safety from her enemies, and in time she brings others into its sanctuary. Talk about a life-transforming salvation experience, followed by evangelism. Finally, there's how Frollo deals with Notre Dame. He doesn't give a crap about the church. He's falsely pious and uses it to pursue his own evil agenda. He abuses the archdeacon, batters down the doors of the church, and tries to throw the good guys off the roof. And Notre Dame kicks his butt hardcore. You can't miss the symbolism of Frollo plunging into a fiery abyss, can you? Have I mentioned I love this movie? The Latin chanting, the hardcore baddie, the jokes! So many people shun it, and I think it's horrible because it has a lot to say. What it says is, it's not our face that makes us a monster, it's our actions. But the brutal truth is, without Christ, we're all monsters and capable of every awful thing Frollo does. It's an uncomfortable message wrapped up in a gorgeous score and beautiful animation. It takes risks, and that, for me, is what makes it great.